Today I'm going to do a weapons workout. So I'm going to start with a nice stretch, start at the top of the head, work my way down to the toes. Do some arm circles here, just opening up the body, waking up the muscles, getting the blood flowing. Not really stretching for flexibility right now, I'm just starting to move around a little bit. Let my body know I'm about to get into some action. Deep breath, in through the nose, out through the mouth. All the way down. Reach for the ankle. Back to the middle. Reach for the other ankle. And that's just an abbreviated version of stretch I like to start with. Okay? Next, I'm just going to warm up some light air karate. Okay? Not really focusing as much on clean technique, perfect technique right now. Just getting the body moving. Getting warmed up. Like I said, today we're going to do weapons. So I picked up a couple of things around the house that I'm going to train with. This is a cane, walking stick. Okay? It's long enough that I can do two-handed applications with it, but it's short enough that I can practice with one hand as well. Okay? And anytime I'm practicing weapons, I want to practice moving, stances, blocks, and strikes. Okay? Then I can start imagining an attack. Attacker right here, right hand jab, strike the arm, strike the leg, strike the throat. Okay? Inside, outside, like attacking mace. Inside, delayed sword, okay? And just working with the weapon. I like to work with weapons. I find that it really helps me to elongate my circles, get a good sense of my body, you know? How do my joints feel? How are my elbows? How are my wrists and shoulders? Okay? After working with that for a minute, I'm going to move on to a knife. This is just a simple kitchen knife. When I'm practicing with a partner, I never use live steel. When I'm practicing alone, I often will, but even then you have to be careful. Okay? Just now, I came up, touched the blade. I have to be conscious all the time of the edge of the blade. Where is the edge? Is it out? Is it towards me? Okay? The whole time I'm training, I need to know where that blade edge is. And again, working stances, foot maneuvers, blocks, strikes. And when I'm working with the knife, got slashes and thrusts. Make sure you work both hands. I'm a big believer in ambidextrous training. Okay? I don't know if I'm going to get attacked from this side or this side. I don't know what the situation is going to be. If I did, I just never get attacked. But since I don't know, I make sure and train both sides. Okay? Now I've worked one weapon. Bring out a second knife, work two. And you'll notice that this is just built off my basic Sinawali drill, right? But then I add in the thrusts, slashes, high, low, hooks. And you notice I do a lot of transfers while I'm working with the weapon. And in a real violent situation, you don't want to be flipping the knife in your hand a lot, turning the blade inside and out. Practice a lot of that when I'm working with the weapons so that I can practice all the different orientations of the weapon. Hammer grip, saber grip, forward, reverse, blade out, blade in. Okay, and I want to work every combination of that with one weapon, every combination of that with two weapons. Also want to make sure I work my empty hand technique with the weapons in the hands. I don't want to focus on the weapon. It's a tool, it's there to make me stronger, more dangerous. But I've got a lot of other tools already that I need to make sure not to forget about. Now, like I said, we're also working environmental weapons today. This is a back scratcher. Simple, lightweight piece of wood. This is more like the stick that you see in the karate school, the eskrima stick, except it's even lighter, okay? Realistically, one solid shot, this might break, okay? But I can work these quick movements that aren't as appropriate to a heavier club, like a bludgeon, okay? Always have to be careful. When you're working with weapons, you're going to drop the weapons a lot, right? That's going to happen. So I always want to make sure I've got a nice open space. If I drop the weapon, I'm not going to break my TV, hit my dog, anything like that. And again, working both sides. Since this is a nice light weapon, I might think, okay, hit to the face, down to the leg, under the arm, into the body, right? So maybe it's just like that. Face, leg, arm, body, right? Again, forward grip, reverse grip, right? Changing levels. Low, high, low, high, high, low, high, low. Next, we're back to knives. But I've chosen a larger knife this time. This is just an old kitchen knife, okay? It's not really valuable as a kitchen knife anymore. Blade's all dinged up, points broken off. But I like to use these to work machete work, okay? Always, when you're working with weapons, make sure you're working pummeling. Just repeating the weapon again and again along that same line, okay? Whether it's down, forward, or slashing, right? Now you'll see me a lot touch the weapon with my offhand. Part of that is to continue to train that blade awareness. Part of that is to assist in transfers. That's something I do a lot in my style. Always knowing where that blade side is, okay? So I've worked with one, pick up another one, work with two, right? Again, I was doing these same activities earlier with the smaller blade, but there's a difference. There's a difference in weight, there's a difference in balance, there's a difference in range and depth away from the body. I have to be careful, I can't turn these in real close, I hit my own body. So with the larger weapon, I have to get further away from the torso. So you want to practice with weapons of different sizes and shapes so you can develop that effectiveness. These are all things you can find around the house, right? This, just a simple fireplace poker, okay? I like this. It's very heavy. So when I'm working these circles, I can really feel that in my elbow, okay? So you start out Nice and slow, working the circles. Switching the weapon from hand to hand. Notice I just have it in the forward grip right now. And then I'm just going to work the basic 8 angles of attack with the thrust. Alright? So I'm here, I'm working down, downward diagonal, inward horizontal, upward diagonal, straight up from underneath, thrust. The left arm, down, downward diagonal, horizontal, upward diagonal, straight up from underneath, thrust. Okay? I can work blocks, upward block to downward diagonal strike, and you start freestyling with the weapon. Notice there's that inverted grip again. Working with a long weapon like this, I might just work this quadrant. Straight up at an angle, inward horizontal, hook. Okay? So I'm inverted, straight up at an angle, inward horizontal, hook. And again, imagining that attacker. Right? Here comes the kick. Strike the leg in through the body. Here comes that lead hand jab. He's close side. Strike the arm into the face. Pierce to the body. Okay? This weapon also has a hook on it. So I can come down on the arm and hook into the back of the shoulder. Different environmental weapons all have unique aspects that you want to consider when you're training with them. How can you bring that into play in a self-defense encounter, right? We might not all have our karate staff or our nunchucks laying around the house. We might. But if we get attacked, we don't want to not be able to defend ourselves. Right? So I'm a big believer in practicing with environmental weapons like this. Now, I just talked about weapons you might not have around the house. Here's a couple I do. Tonfa. I like to practice with these. First, practice just like they're regular clubs. Striking, thrusting. Then practicing the unique aspects of the tonfa. Right? Grabbing with the handle. Striking in and out. Hooking with the handles. Striking with the handles. Right? Bringing this in tight to the body. Jabbing with the point while holding the handles. Right? If I go inverted, blocking, jabbing with the point. Okay? So a couple of different ways just to play with your tonfa practice. Techniques like 5 swords, returning storm, really lend themselves to this weapon. Right? So there's one. It's a little more traditional karate weapon, but you might have it around the house. I do. Right? And I like to train with this weapon. Train with 2, train with 1. Right? Make sure you're working those 2-hand grips, blocks, strikes. Right? Then back to one-handed. Grab, strike, switch hands. Grab, strike, switch hands. Grab, strike, switch hands. Grab, strike. Just some different ways you can play with the weapon. Right? Back to a more environmental style weapon, hammers. Just simple tack hammer, nail hammer, right? These are the sorts of things you can find around your house. When you're dealing with this hammer, you wrap your fist around it, you've got hand weight, right? You hold it down here, you can strike with the head of the hammer. You hold it like this, strike with it like a club. So remember, there's a lot of different ways to pick up these weapons and utilize them in your attack and defense. Striking with the top of the hammer, the head of the hammer, the claw of the hammer, right? Practice all those different striking surfaces.